Hello, I'm Tao. I'm from UMass Amherst. This is a joint work from my advisor, Dan Sheldon and Brendan O'Connor. So this work is using learning with label proportion framework applied to the US presidential election problem. Okay. So the motivation is we want to study the US presidential election problem. The goal is we want to predict some voting behavior of individuals or some demographic subgroups, such as we want to understand the voting preference for the white people living in LA with some college degree, like that. So the data is, we have two data sets. The first data set is about the election data set. We collect the region level voting totals for all the candidates. The region can be defined as counties or states, like that. So another data set is we want to understand some characteristic individuals living in that area. So we collect the individual level data from the US Census Bureau. It contains many demographic covariates, but because it's a separate data set from the voting data set, it doesn't contain the individual level voting results. Okay. So we find it this problem fit very well into the learning with label proportion framework. So here the ellipse represents just one region. In this region, we have many individuals, but we don't observe individual labels. The label is their voting result, but instead we have their aggregate voting counts, so voting for each candidate. So we have many of these regions with the individual information and aggregate counts. So we want to build instance level classifier to predict individual or subgroups. Okay, existing algorithms, they are either non-probabilistic. They use some alternating optimization or hard EM based approaches. Our algorithm is fully probabilistic model. We treat the individual labels yi as the latent variable. We use EM. So the challenge is in the inference step, how to infer the posterior distribution of individual labels given the hard constraints. Okay. So there's an existing paper said that there exists exact marginal inference for a set of n-binary variables if the joint distribution contains a cardinality potential. The cardinality potential is the sum of all the individual labels. So here, for our problem, it is the indicator function infers the hard constraints. So we borrow the idea to design efficient algorithm for binary classification problem. But when we want to do the multi-class classification problem, we design new exact inference algorithm for the multi-class version. So that we can predict the voting preference for Clinton, Trump, and others. Okay, there are some synthetic experiments. The red line is Oracle. The blue line is our result. So the blue line beat the two of the current state-of-the-art. One is a green one, and one is a cyan one. Okay. The summary is we have a fully probabilistic model. They step using cardinality potential to perform exact inference. We design new massive passing algorithm to extend to multi-class classification problem, and it works better than the others. So please come to my poster for some real-world experiment result.